Reverend Warnock's running a nasty, dishonest campaign, perfect for Washington. The Reverend doesn't even tell my full story, my true story. As everyone knows, I had a real battle with mental health. Even wrote a book about it. And by the grace of God, I've overcome it. Warnock's a preacher who doesn't tell the truth. He doesn't even believe in redemption. I'm Herschel Walker, saved by grace, and I approve this message.
That is Herschel Walker firing back against some of the most recent scandals that have been plaguing him. And I think he makes a good point there. I think that the liberal loony left has been unfair to Herschel Walker. First of all, as he says, he has never denied that he had a battle with mental health. Had, like in the past. I guess it's done now. No word on which side won. Anyway, and if you have a problem with his scandals, as he rightly points out, he wrote a book about this stuff. And importantly, that book, as he says, was part of him becoming saved by grace, okay? He had struggled in the past, he worked through the issues, he was apologized to by God or something, and then he wrote about it in the book, so stop bothering him about that stuff that comes before the book. And by the way, if you want to read about this, the book is available. It's available on Amazon, Breaking Free, My Life with Dissociative Identity Disorder. It was published January 13th, 2009, and that was the end of it. There's one small issue because the reputed abortion scandal, the abortion took place on September 12th, 2009. So I guess there was still a little bit of issues after he was saved by grace as written about in Breaking Free. But no, look, overall, I understand that that sort of language is designed to appeal to a certain sort of voter who likes the idea of redemption for certain people, not for others generally. They like the idea that you would atone for your sins, and maybe they're a little bit loose on whether you actually ever did that, or whether you continue to do horrible things for years since then, whether you this year are telling unconscionable lies, and that you cannot be saved for something that you refuse to admit actually happened. These are issues for an atheist like me. I don't know, maybe other people won't have a problem with it. Overall, though, I would say it is very convenient to say that you apologize to, and your apology has been accepted by a non-human entity, because the mother of one of his kids, we now find out, the woman who accused him of supporting and paying for this abortion also has one of his children. Like, she isn't being asked to forgive him. He's not supplicating himself in front of her. It's a lot easier to do that when it's just a voice in your head. So I don't know, Waz, like that was better put together than his media appearances over the past couple days. God only knows how many takes that took. It calls to mind when Rocky Balboa tried to do commercials, I think, in the fourth movie. But anyway, what do you think about this?
It's the best he can do when he's caught in a lie. The guy has done the typical, or what used to be the old school Republican playbook about family values, and I'm this chaste, pious, righteous person. That's why you should send me to Washington to put the heathens in order, the godless libs, or sending us straight to hell in Babylon. Like that was the line he was toting, and then a little thing called the truth got in the way. And so he's backpedaling from the crap that he said and said, won't you just give me redemption? Won't you just find it in your heart to have some grace? And it's a different line from what they were saying before, because honestly, that's not what Republicans lead with. Redeeming oneself and grace is not something that the right wing ever sort of leads with when they're in their rhetoric. It's like, no, you messed up. You're a loser. You're a moron. You're a scumbag. Go to jail. Die. We hate you. That's generally how they carry it. So it's kind of funny to watch him take this tone of, who, me? You need to give me a second chance. I deserve it. Doesn't the Reverend Warnock believe in redemption? That's what Jesus taught us.
Yeah, I love that it's against a literal reverend. And that doesn't mean that he's necessarily more moral or whatever. I mean, there are plenty of people who call themselves reverend or pastor or whatever, and they're only in it to have a couple private jets. But Raphael Warnock seems pretty good. I don't know, like he seems like he actually believes this stuff. And by the way, this is the party who doesn't think you should be allowed to vote after you serve your term in prison. So spare me the redemption. We're not even talking about like them then getting elected to the Senate. We're literally just saying be able to vote for somebody who might be elected to the Senate. So spare me, honestly. I do want to read you one comment though. This is like the updated news from the woman who's making these allegations about the abortion scandal, responding to the fact that he is not owning up to this. She says, "Sure, I was stunned, but I guess it also doesn't shock me that maybe there are just so many of us that he truly doesn't remember." Ouch. But then again, if he really forgot about it, that says something too. I've been very civil thus far. I keep my mouth shut. I don't cause any trouble. I stay in the background, but I'm also not gonna get run over time and time again. And she did in fact reveal, this is again going to the Daily Beast, that not only were they apparently involved in a relationship, that he then encouraged her to have an abortion and paid for it. And the relationship did continue after that, according to her, but they also have a child, another child. And so again, none of this seems to matter so far. We haven't seen really updated polls that I consider robust, Waz, but it is just like if you were trying to set up like a Mad Libs of political scandals for one candidate, I don't know what else you could pile on top of him. Like with the insane lies, we're gonna give you another one in a sec. The multiple attempted murders, the domestic abuse, the secret children, the lying about abortion. What else at this point is there?
I just gotta say, when you said he encouraged her to have abortion and then paid for it, the first thing that popped in my mind was, wait, Mexico didn't pay for it? That was the first thing. I'm sorry, I don't know why. That's
been ruined by recent politics.
I just can't. It's just right-wing politics just kill me. But no, yeah, you mentioned all the things that would tank a politician from the past. It makes me question, like, if people are even capable of being scandalized anymore. Like, if a right-wing politician could literally children out of wedlock, abortions, and I mentioned this yesterday on the watch list. It's like the Republican bills and laws that are coming out of the overturning of Roe v. Wade are like, yo, jail the chick that got the abortion, jail the doctor, jail the person who drove her there, jail the person that looked the other way. Herschel Walker pays for one or whatever, send him to the US Senate. It's like, what are we doing here with this? And yeah, it's kind of just, it's just strange, your ability to process stuff in a coherent, logical way. It's like this, his candidacy makes no sense. But I really think the biggest story is that this dude is still running neck and neck with Warnock over there in Georgia. And what that says to me is that not in the not so recent, not so distant past, Georgia was an extremely red state. And I think these things take time to change, that Herschel Walker could still run like, all right, yeah, we still want to vote for you. It brings back to like even Roy Moore, in Alabama, when it was like, yo, all right, this guy might have touched some 12-year-olds. Okay, you got us, guys. We can't support this guy anymore. I don't know that would happen today.
Yeah, well,
I don't know that Roy Moore wouldn't still be supported by Alabamans if that happened today.
I'm glad that you chose that example, because I think, I don't think it's that there's a dividing line where Herschel Walker's on one side and Roy Moore's on the other. I think it's a continuum. And I think Roy Moore's in an interesting place on that, where some did denounce him, but plenty were fine. And it's not like he got beat by 30 points in that race. He lost, and maybe that was the definitive thing. But it wasn't that far. And so we've devolved even more since then. So I think that's the perfect example.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.